Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate, Trades Edition. Okay, so, oh, fuck. So I go out and throw out a podcast where I'm like, listen, liberals aren't going to try and get rid of Alberta, okay? You guys all need to calm down. There's no talk about separation. We're going to hear about it like a day later. Like, I spoke too soon. Like, shoot me in the face. But it's not the liberals, it's the conservatives right here in Alberta. That's it's great. Grand gravy. God. All right. Thank you, Danielle, for making me stick my foot in my mouth. It's like I don't know. Anyway. So here's the thing. I'm watching, I don't even know where to start because I want to fucking shoot myself in the face. So Bill 54, I don't want to make this overly political because I'm just going to get passionate and go on some fucking tangent rant. I'm not going to make this about conservatives or liberals. Okay. I'm going to make this about the person. Danielle Smith is a fucking moron in my opinion. Okay. In my opinion, I don't believe anything she's ever done is good outside of when she started the Wild Rose Party and she was doing great. And then she went ahead and she crossed the floor back to the conservative government. And to me, that was political suicide. It showed me that she could be bought and she's an opportunist and I didn't want anything to do with her. And then she became premier of our beautiful province. And I thought, well, there goes the neighborhood. So I'm sorry, Danielle, but I don't think you stand for the right things. I don't think you stand for Alberta, and I don't think you are a proud Canadian. And that is just that's just showing in your actions. I don't know you as a person. I know that Naheed Nenshi had said some really nice things about you, of the person you once were. And it's unfortunate that politics can change someone so much. But please remember, Danielle, you are female in a male-dominating industry. And the more you try to play with the big boys, the more you're going to be utilized as the scapegoat. So whatever power you think you have, you don't. Okay? And that is coming from a woman who works with men. The best you can do is sit at their table and present ideas, but never be their spokesperson. Never be the face that they're asking you to be, because there's always an ulterior motive. Men are really good at having an agenda. And I hate to divide the sexes like that, because it's, at the end of the day, it's just people. But if we're going to cut through the bullshit, because we're going to cut through the bullshit, let's do it. Men and women think differently. Okay. Men's traumas are different than women's traumas. Women's traumas come out in different ways. Everyone's like, oh, she's got daddy issues and then he's got mommy issues and blah, blah, blah. But here's the brass tacks. Our traumas make us different. Men have to suppress all of their emotions and all this and all that. So they take it out on the people that can express. A woman that can come forward and say, this happened to me and I'm not okay. And she's celebrated. If a man comes forward and says, this happened to me, he's not celebrated. He's looked at as weak. He's looked at as, why are you being a baby? Why, like, what's the matter? Like the pussification is at epic proportions with you. What's your problem? Why are you such a snowflake? That's what men get. And it sucks. It's bullshit. It is a double standard and it's a double-edged sword and it's bullshit. So some women will be like, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. What were you wearing that night? Why were you drinking that night? Men will get, well, why are you whining? Man up. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's the same, but different. And, it's bullshit, but I'm going to tell you that as a female that has stood and rubbed shoulders with men in powerful positions, all I'm looking for is a seat at their table intermittently. I don't want to sit at it all the time. I want to be able to know that I can say, hey, ding, ding, I need a ticket to the table. And they go, sure, Lisa, no problem. What do you got? And then I sit down with them and I have these conversations and they go, you know what? That's a great idea. Or, I don't think I'm going to go that way. And it's okay. There's no challenging what they want to do. It's just creating some perspective, and however they choose to move on it is how they choose to move on it, because forcing change does not happen. It has to be Here's the secret, everybody. And a lot of you know this. It's planting seeds that eventually they will come up with how that makes sense in their world. And they will help plant and germinate those seeds on their own accord. We're just kind of like, it's like, we're like wildflowers. You know what I mean? Like, when you pick up a dandelion and you blow all the little seeds off of it and wherever they land. It's kind of like that. That's what women in these industries do. And some women that are really good have a target as to where they're blowing those seeds. And sometimes they germinate and sometimes they don't, but they have a target. So there's really smart women in business that know that they got to stand on their own 2 feet and they're going to get criticism and they're going to get bullshit, and they take it in stride, but they march to what they believe. They don't sway one side or the other. So this bill that she's proposing, here's my issue right off the hop. First of all, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Does I'm watching, like, there's one NDP leader that is, I shouldn't say leader, like, to me, she's a leader because she's amazing. She's out there and she's hitting the ground. Hang on here. Let's pull her up, because I like finding people. I like finding people, you know? So let's see. I think her name's Joan. NDP. That's why you do it from the computer, right? Let's see. What's her name? Nope, not that one. Nope. Oh, look at, I gotta like pause like an ass. Like, Lisa, what's your problem? And I'm like, well, you know, NDP. Do. You know, I see her all the time. She's pretty slick. I do like her. Where is she? I know she's NDP. It's none of these people. This is garbage. I swear she's Alberta. Anyways, I'm going to think of it, because that's usually what happens. NDP. Look at, I'm like pausing in the middle of a fucking podcast like a jackass. I want to find it. I wasn't going to go this route, but here we go. Anyway, so she's sending around a petition. I'm sorry. I know some of you know her name. But I've watched her speak on more than a few occasions. She's very passionate. She speaks well, and she makes a lot of sense, and she's very centered thinking. And I love that about her. I do support the things that she says, and I do like and share a lot of her information. So I get goofy sometimes when it comes to this. I try not to follow too much, but I try to keep up with current events best I can. So here's the thing. She's sending around a petition basically saying, like, we're not doing this. Like, this is treaty land, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's get Danielle out of office. Well, do I believe that Danielle should step down and go out of office and maybe take a drive and go hang out with her friend Trumpy Dumpy? Sure I do. But regardless, moving forward, it's fucking treaty land. Why is this even a thing? Why is this even a thing? That's like me walking over to my neighbor and telling him that I'm going to sell part of his yard. Like, he's going to tell me to go get fucked. He's going to be like, cool story. Did you got the deed, asshole? Do you have the property lines with the deed? You got the real property report? Yeah, you got that? Cool. So what's happening? And I'm going to be like, well, you know, I went to the registry and land titles and I rezoned this. And he's like, with whose authority? Who'd you pay? Whose authority? Who's getting their ass kicked? Like, there's so much fucking red tape for that to even be a thing, that, like, what's happening? What? I feel like I'm living in the fucking Twilight Zone. Like, we're just going to start selling things that aren't ours. That's cool. And here's the other thing. For like I'm going to say smaller percentage than people think that are actually for this. Because like I had this conversation about how Alberta and Quebec are similar, but here's the thing. The people that scream the most are actually the smaller group, okay? So what are you looking for? Are you looking for the same thing the Bloc has? Like, you want your own little referendum party, but you still want all the benefits of Canada? You just want daddy to say it's okay? It's okay, here's a lollipop. You can have your own little party. Like, is that what you want? Because you're making us look stupid. For the richest province, you are making us look dumb. Like, you need to stop. And that is my opinion. I'm sorry if you get offended, if you get a little ass hurt, but this is what it is. It's an opinion. Everyone has opinions. They're like assholes. And I'm an asshole today. And I am spewing out verbal fucking diarrhea about this, the absolute preposterous, the fucking caucasity is in epic proportions today. Okay. Like, what the fuck is happening? Okay. And then, what's this shit about like Edmonton and Edmonton riding? We're going to give it up. We're going to give our seat up to Pierre. The people spoke. They don't want him. Why are you giving up your salary for somebody else who nobody wants? We don't want him. Okay. What the fuck, Alberta? Give your head a shake. You were voted in for your strengths and what you bring to that community. And lo and behold, it is a community that apparently, I don't know. I don't live in fucking Edmonton. I was just there though. Had a great time. Not going to lie. It's a place in Edmonton. And please, I don't know, this is what is coming down the pipe from people that have lived in and around that area, that they say that is a predominantly what we would describe as a WASP area. If you know, you know. If you don't know what a WASP is, go look it up. There are not a lot of Indigenous, if any at all, and there's not a lot of immigrants in that area. So that's interesting. However, there was still a decent vote for that candidate. So I'm going to plead with Edmonton in that riding. You chose your candidate for a reason, so re-choose him. Let's not let this crazy person get too close to the other crazy person that's our premier. Okay, just saying. All right, just throwing it out there. Good talk. Okay, moving on. So I was in Edmonton. Yay! I was in Edmonton this weekend. I went to ACE. So ACE is the Alberta Condo Expo, I think it is, what it is. It's put on by CCI North chapter. I'm part of the CCI South chapter, and I'm also part of the CCI National chapter, just for condo strengths. That's all I do. So I'm just part of a committee for the national side. I'm a member with the CCI South, and it was so funny. I accidentally booked in to be a member with North as well. And then I booked for their golf course or their golf tournament. And then they sent me the address and I had to like email the admin team. And I'm like, so I'm in Airdrie. I don't think I'm going to make it for golf. I totally thought this was the South. I feel really stupid. And they, of course, laughed and were like, no problem. We'll just refund the money. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. But I do want to do more in Edmonton. I want to expand LPM into Edmonton. So basically, as a construction consultant that stands on the side of condo boards and is basically their advocate. That's what I do. So people will say it's like, we'll give you all of the terms that people have referred to me as. Owner's representative, project manager, construction adjuster, champion, board champion. I've gotten all those titles. So pick one that makes sense to you. But that's basically what I do. And so I'm looking to expand more in Edmonton. I got to meet some friggin' awesome people in Edmonton that are homegrown in Edmonton. They utilize a lot more people in the Edmonton area. And that's what I want. Because I'm a speaker at COF, I host the condo chats, which you can tune into anytime. You just got to become a member with COF. They're free. Those chats that I do are free. I coordinate all of the contractors, consultants, and whatnot, and lawyers to come on and have conversations about different topics that the members will put out and whatever the members ask me for. So like, Lisa, we want to hear from, property managers. We want to hear more from more lawyers. We want to hear about Bill 30. We want to hear about this. I'm like, cool, let's do it. So I'm actually doing that. I spoke with one of the lawyers in Edmonton who's very well versed on Bill 30. And so his name is Hugh Willis, and he's going to come on. So him and I are just going to book that up. I got to send him an email. Also, another fucking wild fact. So I had a company out here in Calgary call me about an OH&S issue with being designated safety. I was very perplexed at OH&S going after a property management firm for something an owner on one of their sites was doing. And so I went in to go and I'm like, well, did you tell them this? Did you tell them? And they're like, yes. We've tried to have this conversation. We've explained all this to him. We've done this. And I'm like, well, what's happening? So there is a miss with OH&S and with condo. Okay. Now, what's come out of this, which is actually quite terrifying for me, is that on some level, condo boards have to have bare minimum a safety plan of sorts that encompasses a work hazard assessment, job hazard assessment of their site. So like a formal hazard assessment of their site. And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, first of all, there's going to be a lot of safety people probably rubbing their hands together. I'm not, because condos are non-for-profit and they're all volunteers and they're making decisions on behalf. But it's like, well, they're hiring trades and they're signing off on things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they're like, that's considered a business. Doesn't matter that it's non-for-profit. They have to have that. And I'm like, oh my God. So in hindsight, it's not really a reach what they're asking for, but it is. It's like I don't know. As a safety professional, I'm kind of like, you want me to go to a condo board and be like, hey, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars for me to walk your entire site, train you how to do formal hazard assessments. And then you got to do them once a year, once every 2 years, depending on what changes on your property. Like, sure, that's great for someone who wants to line their pockets, but I'm an advocate for condo boards. So I'm not a super fan of the idea of charging boards an astronomical amount of money. So please wait for all of the information before safety professionals start rubbing their hands together. That's number one. And I'm also a safety professional that will travel around Alberta, and I will help the boards with this as well. And I'm not going to bleed you. But in that, I've had conversations with lawyers because I'm like, we need to have this conversation. So I had a conversation with a lawyer here in Calgary. I wouldn't say conversation, more like an email. And then when I was at the ACE conference this past weekend, and I was speaking with Hugh Willis, he had mentioned a lawyer that he knows very well that is very well versed in this. So I will be speaking to him as well in Edmonton. And so what I want to do is not only do I want to bring it to the platform for COF, which is Condominium Owners Forum, but I've also brought it to CCI South, and I'm going to bring it into CCI North. And I think we're going to do a panel discussion so that members have the information and what that's going to look like, and to maybe look at maybe some companies, some safety consultants that can go out and help them with that. Or maybe there's people already on their site that can do that because they walk the site every day, like your landscapers can probably give you a hazard assessment and maybe charge something for it. Nothing ridiculous. I'll be looking at that. You just call me, be like, look at this. Is this right? And I'll be like, sharpen your pencil. So, but it's one of those things where it gets interesting because it's kind of muddy and we need some more clarity around it. So for those living in a condo in Canada, especially Alberta, OH&S is interesting. They're like, we don't want to go after owners, but it's the owner causing a problem. And the board of directors doesn't know what every owner does unless somebody else tells them, to which they can respond. So rule of thumb, studs in, owner studs out board. Okay, there's going to be opportunities where there's some cross. Like if you have a fireplace, now I can't confirm this for everybody, okay, you guys? So let's just start there. I'm not a lawyer and I haven't read your bylaws, but in my bylaws, when I was a condo owner and I had a fireplace, the fireplace was my issue. So I had to get the fireplace cleaned or whatever, but the chimneys were a corporation. Okay. So you had to work with the corporation to do the fireplace. So what would happen is they would get the whole fireplace cleaned, everything done, and then you would get a portion of that bill, and then they would get the other portion. And that's usually kind of how that works for most, but not all. You have to read your bylaws. Read your bylaws. For those in condo, please read your fucking bylaws. Other than that, like just an assortment of people at this conference. And you know what? Here's the thing. I was booked for different sessions that I wanted to go into and I wanted to listen. And actually, a very, incredibly accomplished woman that I look up to, and she's just an amazing person. Her name is Maria Barlotti. She's with New Concepts. She is a condo manager. She's been in the community for years. Her company's been up for quite some time. She's been around for like 20 years. She looks great though. She's Italian, like it doesn't crack. It doesn't crack. She looks great. You'd never know. But Maria is amazing. Her knowledge is vast, and she's a powerhouse in her own accord. And she was speaking, and I really wanted to hear hers, and I missed it because I was too busy playing like Social Lisa, talking to all the trades and all the consultants. And I saw her, and I'm like, oh my God, did you already do your talk? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she's like, yeah, you got no excuse. You've been here since 8:00 this morning. And I only went on at like 1 or 2. And I'm like, yeah, I got nothing. Like, I'm sorry. And I really wanted to hear her conversation whenever Maria is speaking. There's a few of them. There's like Maria, there's Sherry Bignall from BFL. There's any of the lawyers from McLeod or from SVR. Whenever they're speaking, I always try to attend their conferences. They're just amazing speakers. Not that there's a lot of them that come that speak that I think are great, but those are ones that I'm like, I'll move some stuff around, just to go watch them speak. Some of the there's another property manager. Loren Laird is another one that I'll go watch speak as well. She's great. She's with FSR in Calgary. Just powerhouse women. Like they're intelligent. They're incredibly well spoken. They're humble in their own way, but they have a way about them that like they bring a presence that I can't describe, that you want to be in the room while they're speaking. You got to just sit down and shut up and listen to what they got to say, because it's intelligent and it's a different shift. So That's that. I missed it, so fucking shame on me. But I got to meet some other really cool trades that were there, and people that I didn't even know existed. There was one that they're adjusters. They're like consulting adjusters. They don't come from an insurance company. They work alongside the insurance companies, but they are, which is kind of like Emergent. Emergent is similar. So Jeff Martin's owns Emergent. You're welcome for that shout out, Jeff. I'll send you the bill in the mail. Just kidding. So, but he does a similar thing where he's a consulting adjuster for losses. So he goes out and he kind of gives the rundown of what needs to be cut or how much is cut or what the costs are, blah, blah, blah. So he kind of protects the clients as well. And he's done very well in his trade. He was an adjuster for years. He's of course, obviously designated, but these people are in Edmonton and they do something similar. And I love that. I love when there is a branch off for people for consulting, because now it's them making the prices. It's not just a designated price. They're not answering to a higher power, which means they can come in a little bit less and they will get, there's no hidden cost. They're not, it's service. It's not, they're not putting down equipment. They're not doing this. They are giving you their knowledge, years of attained knowledge to make sure that you are getting the best outcome for a loss. And I think that that's amazing. I do something similar, but not quite the same. I'm not an adjuster. I don't work for insurance. But if insurance says, hey, Lisa, we need you to come and take a look at this, will I go do it? Of course I will go do it. And I will give them the most honest answer. I don't really work with a lot of insurance. I work with boards, right? That's where my passion is to work with boards and to advocate for them and to make sure that their costs make sense. Because the last thing I want is for something that costs $200,000 to then cost $500,000 because they went with a contractor that was no good, or the contractor did things they weren't supposed to. So do I hold contractors to task? Absolutely I do. But here's the thing. I want you to succeed. Okay. I want you to succeed because you succeeding helps you and helps me. It helps me because my job is to make sure the project goes off. It makes the board happy. And it makes the property management happy, and it makes me happy. And you guys are happy because you get paid, and then you get more referrals because the board said I used this person and this person is great. And so with someone like me who runs CCI Condo Strengths, where it's ran by directors, for directors by directors, which means it's ran by directors. So board of directors come in and they talk about their pitfalls and their successes with different companies. So let me tell you how many times I've been in that room and they're like, hey, does anyone know a good roofer? Hey, does anyone know a good cider? And they will all talk amongst each other. So don't think for a second that the boards aren't talking, because they are. And I don't ever, if the only time that I will jump into that conversation is if I'm directly emailed by one of the directors and say, hey, Lisa, do you know so-and-so? Which is another reason I went to ACE, because I have people from Edmonton and from Drumheller and from Red Deer, and they ask me, do you have a good contractor? And I'm like, I don't live in those areas. So no, I do not. But I know ones that will travel, but then that's a travel charge and we don't want to do that. So when I went to ACE, it was a good opportunity for me to meet the people in Edmonton, in the Edmonton space, as well as some of them are from Red Deer. And then, of course, as I go, I try and talk to people that know other people in the different areas around Alberta so that I can help push their name out as well. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's I'm going to tell you, we're going to get a whole bunch more people on the podcast because I was like, hey, come on my podcast because you're fun. And they were like, sure, I will. So I'm excited for people to come on the podcast because it's fun for you guys to listen to different perspectives and successes and pitfalls and just find out about people. Sometimes we talk about politics. Sometimes we just talk about relationships. Sometimes we talk about crazy shit because that's what this is about. It's about you. It's not about, sometimes it's about me. Sometimes I need to make it about me. Like today. But regardless, thank you so much, CCI North, for putting this on to all the exhibitors, can't speak, sponsors, and speakers that all came out to ACE to make this a great event. It was an amazing event. I wish I would have caught more of the conversations and I shouldn't say conversations, the actual, the talks, the sessions that I was booked into, but I didn't, and shame on me, but it is what it is. Here we are. I will definitely talk to a lot of the different people that I need to. I've got a lot of people to email today and keep in touch with and make sure I get all of their plans and what they're doing, bring them onto the podcast if they want. So super excited. Yay. Fuck off Bill 54. And you guys have a great day. Do anything crazy and we'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.